Hello, my name is Daniel Smith and this is my oral presentation for Module 4 and I've called it Marketing Speed. Now during this presentation I will be talking about how I aim to improve the marketing on my photos, what I do throughout a race weekend to create story, etc., and try and get my photos to sell better and appear in more articles and be more newsworthy. A bit of background about myself: I work for motorsport.com, covering motorsport events mainly within the UK. Motorsport.com are now one of the leading motorsport media agencies in the world, and I will start off this presentation by going through the three most important things I think are, whilst covering a race meeting, and motorsport also being my current practice at the moment. Okay, so the three main points I think are to tell a story, to have clear, concise photos, and to try and cover all elements of a race weekend. I think it is also important to try and break barriers, have more risky photos, use different colours and black and white, etc. But I think that these are the most three important pictures in when getting your pictures to be used and bought by media agencies, because I think this is what more appeals more to media. Okay, so I'll start off by showing you an example of photos throughout a race weekend and how I like to tell a story. Okay, so the first photo here is a build-up to the race. This is about an hour before the race, and the drivers are signing autographs and meeting fans. And I've decided to concentrate more on branding here, so there's no you can't see the drivers' faces. But yeah, so what I've done here is I've used colour popping. Now, colour popping is using a colour layer on the bottom and then a duplicate layer, and then I've turned that top layer black and white so there's no colour in it, and then I've then erased the elements of colour that I wanted to use over the top to show colour, and I've concentrated more here on the red and yellow colours, concentrating more on sponsorship. So Turks Caramel Bars are the main sponsor for that team, and they're in colour, as you can see there. And the I've highlighted Blank Pain GT series is the name of the series, and that's in red colour, and McLaren as well, and the McLaren logo in red, and this is to try and market more, to appeal to sponsors and branding. Okay, next image is a build up to the race. It's showing the car fully prepared in the pit lane, ready to race, without any wheels or tyres on, as the tyres are being heated under heat warmers before the race. And this is to try and show a bit of atmosphere and the build up towards the race. I think the light could be improved here, to be honest with you. Obviously you can see the team there that try and appeal to marketing the photos with Team Parker Racing there in the car underneath. But yeah, I think the lighting could have been improved here. It's darker day, we're approaching winter then. It was winter actually, I think. Okay, next race part, next picture, important to show another part of the storytelling. So I try and show build up to the race again. So this is a grid formation, little bit of a ceremony before the grid, and cars being prepared, drivers getting ready to race. So I think that's quite important. And next image is extremely important. This is the start of the race. Now these pictures of the start of the race are almost always used as part of articles to tell the story, and obviously the team that won would like to show their car in the lead. They're starting from pole, and when the stories are written, and it's if the headline, if he won from pole position, which he did actually, driver wins from start to finish, starts from pole position, this picture will be used within in the start. So I always try and use a high numbered shutter speed here, so there's no risk of blur, so it's clear and you can see everything, and try and use a high depth of field. Maybe that could have been better here, to show every car, as many as we can, in high detail. But yeah, this is a very common photo, and yeah, a photo that I always try and aim for every race meeting, because it's sellable. So it's important that it's always clear. Next is drama at the start. It's always important I try to capture drama. Once, because of the start, I had my shutter speed was always a high number, to lower the risk of blur. But I think it could have been improved on certain cases. Pictures like this with drama and action happening, it can be improved to show speed with a lower numbered shutter speed, with the shutter opening wider, and it creates more blur. But then there's a risk factor. It's almost difficult, it's harder to capture the image sharper. And I've tried to, in the foreground you can see that the spectators noticing the car there, something to try and capture as well. But yeah, so you can't always tell the future, so it's difficult. You can't always you can't tell when an accident's going to happen, so you just have to take it with the camera settings you have. Okay, so this is an example of a clear, concise image. It's something we always I try to capture every single car in this way at every race, in case a car disappears and they don't come back, and then but you've got the image there in case the client contacts you and says they want a picture or different pictures of their car. You know that if you try and do this sort of image very early on in practice, when there's very little going on, so you try and get all the cars full framed and sharp. You try and get that out of the way as soon as possible. Next image, yeah, this is a little bit more showing more speed. I think this could have been improved. Mainly, I do try and this is one of the better examples, but I do try and always have the examples of the car all with showing blur in the background, but with all of the elements of the car sharp. But I think this just shows more speed, so that's why I aim to do that. But with also branding and car number clear, so you can see that, and also then in the foreground tyres and the barrier and then the car. So it's showing a little bit more of the in the foreground there. Maybe that could have been improved by cutting out the foreground entirely, but I didn't want to. I think it's open to opinion. Next image is in the pit lane. It's part of telling a story. As always, there's different elements of the race, and the pit lane is extremely important. So I always think it's important to show, that part. It's sellable. It's different, and in case anything happens as well, in the pit lane drama, etc. And trying to show movement. I think I could have showed more movement in this photo. The mechanics running, showing more action, more movement. But yeah, okay. And the next image is extremely important as well. It's the driver at the end of the race showing emotion. He actually won the championship in that race, so that's part of the podium ceremony. So that's also part of telling a story. And next we have this image. Now I wanted to show this because something I'm aiming to do is to improve my website. I'm building a website at the moment, and I'm aiming my website in this, so against this. So and it's not going to be the same. Obviously, it's not going to be as detailed. It's not going to have so many images, because this is LAT Images, one of the most leading motorsport agencies in the world. But yeah, it's simple. There is on the left there's a menu, so you can select any car on any race, and then on the right is modern races that have just happened, so the latest races. And when you click on them, there is underneath an inquire button that you press, and I would like to add a simplified element to my own website. So that's what I would like to do. So that's what's under construction at the moment, and that's how I aim. And my in conclusion, what I aim to do is to have business cards made and access new markets, and write to as many people as I can to try and gain business. And that's my aim, through using my website to improve. So my website under construction. So that's what I aim to do. That's my aim, and I took yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.